So for chapter 18, we're kind of going to be all over the place. The first section, we're going to talk about elapsed time, which is the amount of time that has passed from when we begin doing something to the time we finish doing something. In sections 2 and 3, we are going to be converting between units of measurement. In section 2, that's going to be in the imperial system, which is the name for the system of measurement that we use in the US, which is feet, inches, gallons, cups, all that kind of good stuff. In section 3, we're going to do conversions in the metric system, which is what the rest of the world uses. You should be using that in science class as well. When we're done, you're going to want to know why we don't also use the metric system. It is much, much easier to work with. And in section 5, we are going to talk about doing some measurement using rulers. Don't worry, they are printed on the page. You don't need an actual ruler. And choosing the best unit of measurement for something. So we start with elapsed time. Basically, and you can see because it's in big capital letters there, it's going to be subtraction. It's just a unique kind of subtraction. So elapsed time is how long it takes from when we start doing something to the time we finish doing something. And we subtract start time from end time to find the elapsed time. And that's not negotiable. It has to be end time minus start time. So let me get some workspace here. Let me get a writing implement. And let us begin. So I said in order to do this, we have to do end time, which is 2:15, and take away the start time, which is 9:45. Now, when we do these kind of problems, there are a couple of things we have to do. Okay, first, I want you to look strictly at the minutes. Not individual, but the whole double-digit number that represents minutes. So here at my end time, my top number, I have 15 minutes, and the bottom number, my start time, I have 45 minutes. The bottom number is bigger, and you know when we're subtracting, that is a problem. So somehow I've got to make 15 bigger than 45. We're subtracting. You know how to make something bigger on top when we're subtracting. We have to borrow. You just have to remember that we're talking about time here. So when I borrow from 2 hours, 2 becomes 1. When I borrow an hour, I have to consider how many minutes am I borrowing. Because I'm not borrowing 1 minute or 10 minutes. I'm borrowing 60 minutes. So instead of being 15, it's now going to be 15 plus 60, which is 75 minutes. And 75 is bigger than 45, so we're fine there now. Second thing I want you to look at before you do any subtraction are your hours. And you can see here we have another problem because 9 is bigger than 1. And you may be saying to yourself, well, how the heck are we going to take care of this? Because I've got nothing to borrow from. There's no other numbers to the left of 1 for me to go steal from. That's not really a problem. What's going on here is we need to look at this and represent 1 a different way. And any of you that have parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever, serving in the military in any way, shape, or form should have some idea of where I'm going to go with this. We need to use military time to represent 1 as a number that will work to take 9 away from. So military time works by adding 12 to the number of hours. So 1 p.m. in military time isn't 1, it's 13. 2 is 14, 3 is 15, and on and on and on. Because 1 minus 9 doesn't work, I have to add 12 to the 1, so it's now going to be 13. Okay. This is a free move. We're not borrowing. We are, for free, allowed to add 12 to the top number of hours if the subtraction won't work otherwise. Okay, that is for the number of hours. Now, I have a bunch of subtraction that works. So, subtract normally, but throw down your colon so that you remember you're dealing with time. 5 minus 5 is 0. 7 minus 4 is 3. And 13 minus 9 is 4. So the elapsed time is 4 hours and 30 minutes. If you want to write that out using words, you may. If you want to leave it as 4:30, that's fine. That example involves the most work that I can ask you to do, because we had to borrow from the hours and we had to convert the hours. The next example, we have an end time of 9:50 in the evening and a start time of 4:20 in the afternoon. To find elapsed time, we always will do end time minus start time. So here that's going to be 9:50 minus 4:20. And again, I want you to look at the minutes. Here, we have 50 on top of 20. That's fine. 20 is smaller than 50. We don't need to borrow. Then look at your hours. Here we have 9 on top of 4. That's fine. We can subtract 4 from 9. So here, I don't actually have to do any work other than subtracting. So pop my colon in. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. And 9 minus 4 is 5. So we have 5 hours and 30 minutes. Again, you can write that out in words. You can leave it as a single number, 5:30. The alternative, the other type of problem you'll be given is, here's a start time, here's an elapsed time, tell me the end time. So if we go back for a second, these problems are end minus start equals elapsed. If I have start and elapsed, to get end, I will need to add. So, I'm going to take my start time of 10:30. I will add my elapsed time of 5 hours, 25 minutes. Now here, I can just go ahead and do the addition. No problem. 0 plus 5 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. When you do an addition problem, you just add to start life, but then we have to go back and check some things. So first, look at your minutes. If you've got a number between 0 and 59, then you're absolutely okay, because minutes can be between 0 and 59. This number is 55, it's fine. I don't need to do anything to it. Look at your hours. Here I have 15. The acceptable numbers you're allowed to give me for hours are 1 to 12. So take a moment and think, what should I do to make this work? When we are subtracting, we would add 12 to the hours when we had a problem. So Here, we're kind of doing the opposite. So the idea I want you to get is that we should take 12 off of the hours. So 15 minus 12 is 3. So it's 3:55. You do need to include a PM or an AM on your final answer. If we started at 10:30 in the morning and we did something for 5 hours, that would be 3:55 p.m. Now, I'm going to erase this. There's one more thing I want to show you. So let me make all that vanish. If it'll actually stay away. Let's change to a different eraser. Hopefully one that's a little more permanent. There we go. So let's say you're doing one of these addition problems and you get an answer like, oh, I don't know, 13 hours and 75 minutes. Okay, this is the worst kind of answer you can get because neither one of these numbers works. So in your minutes, you are not allowed to have 75. So again, we're kind of doing the reverse of what we were doing before. So now I'm not going to borrow from the hours. I'm going to give 60 minutes up and force that hour back onto the hours number. I'm going to give 60 minutes up. So 75 giving up 60 is 15. But this has to stay balanced. So if I'm giving 60 minutes away, I have to put them somewhere. That means I'm adding 1 hour to the hour side of this. So now it's going to be 14:15. And again, you're not allowed to have an hour number that is greater than 12. So you would look at this and say, okay, I can't have 14, so I must subtract 12. So the answer would be 2:15, and then AM or PM depending on the context of the problem.